This is the man behind the Panzer, and welcome to my talent tree first look at whatever the case, I would like to review it and give my thoughts and opinions to absolutely no one because, that's just how we roll. Now, while we look at these these talents, we're going to be thinking about them through the lenses of a Mythic Plus person. I only do Mythic Plus, I pug only Mythic Plus, and I don't raid or do anything at all. So we could look at that through this, right? So let's start with the Blood Death Knight side. We're going to choose Heart Strike, of course, Morrowind, Blood Boil, Bone Collector, Vampiric Blood. It's all the same, right? There's some changes. There's an actual interesting interaction that I would like to get to. So we're going to choose, of course, Improve Vampiric Blood. This one talent that sucks. It should be a passive, this one. We're gonna choose the normal, right? Right, these are the normal. You grab the Dancing Rune Weapon. You're going to want to grab the Vampiric Blood, the Foul Bulwark, Improve Bone Shield, shit like that. And Voracious, too. Right, so now we have some interesting things. So one, Gorfine's Grass and A-Bomb Limb are back. I would always choose almost, I think, Gorfine's Grass. It would also depend on the dungeon itself. This one, Gorfine's Grass, does come with the silence. So that's really good. If you got a lot of casters in the group, that's always really nice. A-Bomb Limb does no damage, I don't think, but it just pulls things in. So if you really want to set and forget and then just walk around and gather some stuff, that could be nice. But yeah, I would always choose Gorfine's Grasp. So now we have some interesting choices here. So we have Lifeblood. Death Strike heals for additional 20%. I mean, I really like that. We do have an interesting choice here. So there's a neat interaction with Blood Boil. So you can get, so here's the thing. Usually I never take Hemostasis because when you're in such high Mythic Plus, you just get wrecked, right? You get face wrecked. You just need to heal. You need to save the global. You don't need the extra healing and damage from Hemostasis. In the beginning of the expansion, possibly, right? But there's a nice interaction that you can get a whole bunch of free Hemostasis. So you could either go 2 Improved Heart Strike and Hemostasis, or you can go Relish in Blood and Hemostasis. These 2 points give you 1 free extra point to spend somewhere else. So this would depend on like simming and doing some other bullshit. But for shits and giggles, right? We're going to choose Relish in Blood and Hemostasis. So we have this Boiling Point. Heart Strike has a chance to make your next Blood Boil empowered, dealing 50% increased damage and echoing for 3 seconds. So does that mean that it's going to echo Hemostasis each enemy hit by Blood Boil? Right? We thinks, right? So that could be an interesting concept. On top of Plague Infusion, your Blood Plague critical hits has a chance to reduce the cooldown of your Blood Boil. So some interesting triple interaction here that I would like to see. Also, on top of your Dancing Rune Weapon, your Dancing Rune Weapon mimics. So would it mimic the Blood Boil to the free Blood Boil? That's, again, it's a thing. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not in the beta, alpha or beta, whatever. And yeah, so there's a question there to think about in that interesting interaction with Dancing Rune Weapon. Of course, though, we are going to, since we're mentioning Dancing Rune Weapon here, we are going to look at these real quick. They all have the same name. While Dancing Rune Weapon is active, parrying an attack has a chance to make your next Heart Strike free and deal blah, blah, blah damage. Okay. Then we put 2 points into this one. For each Dancing Rune Weapon active, your damage is increased by 6% and your damage is reduced by 4%. Okay, that's pretty good. When you consume a rune, you have a chance to call a Dancing Rune Weapon to your aid for 6 seconds. Wow, that's pretty good. So you could see how mimicking, free Blood Boil, this is all of these things, right, are interacting with each other, and I think that's very interesting. So that's why possibly you could go Hemostasis. Now, if we're talking about high Mythic Plus, I have no idea. And I'm not talking about I'm high. The most high I've ever gone is like a 15 because I restarted, but that's besides the point, right? We're not here to talk about how great I am. You could see the interaction. We just have to test it out, right? So going down this left side of the tree here, we do have Blood Mist and Sanguine Burst. This is basically the Blood Mist from Shadowlands. You turn it on, it does damage, it does, it generates you some runes, increases some of your parry. You could read it here. It's nice. And then on top of that, you get Sanguine Burst. Basically, some people are worrying, I don't think this is anything to worry about per se, is that, so when Blood Mist ends, it deals blah, blah, blah damage to 8 nearby enemies, healing you for 15% of the damage dealt. The damage is increased by 2% for every 1 runic power spent while Blood Mist is active. I don't think that's a problem. I mean, if you think about it in a Again, a Mythic Plus scenario, you're taking a lot of damage, you're using Death Strike, you're spending a lot of runic power. I think that this shouldn't be too bad, right? Could you min-max it? Of course you can, but I don't think it's something to actively worry about all the time. So next up, we're going to look at the bottom half of this tree. Of course, you want Ironheart. We need Blood Shield to be as chunky as possible. I'm pretty sure Ironheart, well, of course, it's a little bit mandatory, but Ironheart, well, mandatory in the tree, but mandatory in general. And you need Sanguine Ground to get Purgatory. I like that Sanguine Ground's here. I'm very happy about this. Consumption changed. You could read it here. It's basically you channel it for blah, blah, blah seconds, like 2 seconds, and then you gain however long you charge, or 3 seconds or whatever, you get one of these buffs. If you charge it 1 second, you get the first one. Charge 2, you get the second. The third, you get the third. It's not worth it for one reason and one reason only. At first, it's nice that they're trying something new, but you want other things other than this. That's the thing. There's better options out there. And let me show you. You're going to go, I read this as colonoscopy. I don't know why. I'm dyslexic that way. I read this as colonoscopy. You're going to want to take this to get to Red Thirst and to Eternus My Anus. You need all 3 of these, right? You need all 3. Now, you do have a free point. You do have a free point. Now, this is where with Death Strike, right? We haven't looked at this one yet. With all the Death Strikes and stuff, you could go with Deadly Reach. Death Strike hits 2 additional enemies. You could go with, like I said, this opened up a path here, or you could just put one in Improved Heart Strike, just increase that damage, or you could choose Bloody Blade for the extra strength, or you want to choose Bloodshot, like whatever you kind of want to choose, whatever could possibly sim, or whatever the case. Like I said, you could ignore these 2, like I said, ignore this, put 2 points into there, and then you wouldn't have the extra point to spend. So it could be very interesting. I mean, then we could actually use Bloodworm. I miss my little Bloodworm. Or like I said, you could always choose Consumption if you want. You could choose Bloody Blade. It's just up to you. Or we don't know what this node is going to be. This is a talent pending node. So something good could be there. And this could be a way to save that free point to get this while getting everything I believe we need. So overall, though, I'm very happy with the new Blood Death Knight tree. I think that it's a way big improvement. Could it still use some help? Of course. There's still some things that are kind of weird. It's way better. I'm so happy that we don't have to take all of these talents in this row that's currently on the War Within, and Sanguine Ground would be right here. It's just sucked. And then you couldn't feasibly grab Gorefiend without losing a lot of necessary things. It's just really nice in general. So overall, this tree is really nice, and I'm very excited to play it in Midnight. So usually I choose Assbringer. I've always liked Assbringer because I like ass. I mean, what man doesn't? Who doesn't like where poop comes out of? But anyways, we're going to take a look at, so usually everything is the same, right? I'm just going to pick the majority rune carved plates. Okay, so there's a little interaction here, right? So here's the new set here. I'm actually leaving this for a reason. So we have Frigid Resolve. The effectiveness of Permafrost is increased by 100%, and Exterminate grants Permafrost equal to 10% of the damage dealt. And this is where it says Permafrost. Your auto attack damage grants you an Absorb Shield equal to 40% of the damage dealt. Permafrost here, your auto attack damage grants you an Absorb Shield equal to 30% of the damage dealt. So we could see some interaction here, right? I don't know how good it's going to be because this is the thing, right? This is the thing. Usually you would take Reaper's Onslaught, right? We can read it here. Reduce the cooldown of Reaper's Mark by 15, but the amount of armaments is empowered by Exterminate is reduced to 1. Of course, this is negated by the Season 3 4-set bonus. So usually you would take this. But would you take this? Right, Marwyn and Heartstrike have a chance to grant 3 stacks of Icy Talons and increase its maximum stacks by the same amount for 6 seconds. Icy Talons is here. Your rune expending power abilities increases your melee attack speed by 6% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Could this, I'm not saying this is going to be God tier, but with every other, buff to our shielding, like, is this something that's worthy of it? Is this something that's interesting? I don't know. This interaction or whatever the case. I think it's interesting. I think it's weird. I would like to test it. I would like to see some theory crafter actually test it to see if it's worth it. I mean, we just have to test it live and just see how it goes. Just an interesting interaction. Then we do have Deathly Bows, Death Strike, damage increase. And basically here's Echoing Fury, Reaper's Mark deals blah, blah, blah damage. Casting, Dancing Rune Weapon grants 1 stack of Exterminate with 100% first time 100%. So that could be very nice. So you could get 3 Exterminates, like let's say that could be really handy because usually sometimes when you go into a pool, you know, you would, you know, Vampiric Blood, a Dancing Rune Weapon, and generate some stuff. And oh, wow, I have an Exterminate. Cool. I could then grab aggro if I'm having a Blood Boil issue or whatever the case, right? Even though we do have some of these interactions again with Blood Boil. But this is nice, right? So that's why I'm thinking of doing that along with that. So I don't know how it will play out, but you still get, luckily, another free Exterminate with Dancing Rune Weapon. So that's nice. So let's take a look at the Death Knight talent tree here. I'm kind of very different with people who deal with the Death Knight talent tree. So of course we're going to choose the normals, you know, to beginning. So of course we're going to choose Unholy Momentum. It's pretty good. They put both of the nodes here for movement. I'll choose Wraith Walk because it also removes doesn't it embrace the shadow? Yeah, removing all roots. Holy shit. Yeah, removing all roots. I like that. Sometimes it works. You could go with March of Darkness. I think it kind of sucks that they're both in the same node, but it frees up the, you know, for something else to take. Mind Freeze, Blinding Sleet, Gloom Orb. Now we're going to take Permafrost. So, you know, we're going to take Permafrost. We're going to take Icy Talons. They did put Asphyxiate and Death's Reach in the same node. I will personally always take Death Reach. The 10% yard range is no joke, in my opinion. It is no joke. So for this side of the tree, oh yeah, we are going to take Veteran of the Third War. Now, Death Pack is still meh to me. Interesting. These two are an interesting thing. I still wouldn't like Death Pack, I don't think. But it's very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at somewhere else. Okay, hold on. So we're going to take Brittle. We're obviously going to choose Unholy Bond. We obviously have to choose Anti-Magic Barrier. And of course, Grip of the Dead. Now, this could be different a little bit. You could do something with this. It's off to the side. Now, I believe Lichborn only does the remove fears or something. I don't think it has a damage reduction in it anymore. So this is a kind of like a dead, is it a dead node? Because we need this. Oh shit. Wow. Okay, what I was going to say is that depending upon the dungeon, if you need to kite, this could be really nice. Or things that run away, this could be nice. You could take it out and do something with it. But let's just assume here, we're going to take the Unholy Endurance and we're going to take Suppression. You could see me avoiding Anti-Magic Zone, and usually I avoid Anti-Magic Zone for one reason only: low Mythic Plus, no one stands in it. Now, of course, higher Mythic Plus, such as Dawnbreaker or Priory of the Sacred Flame, you know, people will actively stand in it, which is great, but again, people don't stand in it. So usually I avoid it. So we do have a couple extra points. Do we have this? So usually I like to put it in Cold Thirst. I'm pretty good at interrupting, but you could just put it in Blood Scent. So let's just put it in Blood Scent for right now. Insidious Chill, of course. Healing Increase. We're going to take Consume. Reduce magic damage taken. So now, oh yeah, I totally forgot. Now with Gorfiend's Grasp or the A-Bomb Limb, Subduing Grasp could be very interesting. When you pull an enemy, the damage it deals to you is reduced by 6% for 6 seconds. That could be very good. That is probably a worthy take at the moment. So we, of course, going to take Death's Echo. Gonna take Runic Protection, of course, Will of the Necropolis, and of course, Blood Draw to help us. And I think we have one more point to spend. I mean, you could spend it in Anti-Magic Zone. Wow. It still worked out. Or you could, like me, I would play Cold Thirst, but Anti-Magic Zone. Or you could take Death Note. There's a new talent. Raise ally cost 30%, 30 less runic power. That's could be really good. If you're like struggling to keep alive, but you need to res someone, you know, you can do something like that. So that's pretty nice. You could, again, there's some choices here. I don't really care for Death Pact all that much. But you could just go with this, or I don't think this would be good enough to take raise ally cost, because usually you should be all right. Is it annoying? Yeah, but overall, I'm pretty happy with this. There's some choices that you could take that are obviously very different than mine. Overall, I think I like it pretty much. I think this is fine. Am I still missing a point over here? Did I like not put the point in somewhere? Oh yeah, I said that you could put the point in anywhere. Okay. So not much has changed on the Death Knight side of the tree. You could pretty much pick everything you want. A few placements here, a little extra, 2 extra nodes here. Not extra, but different nodes. There's one over here, Blood Bond, while you're below 50% health. Your Ghoul Sacrifice, this is garbage. I wouldn't take it, and there's no point in taking this as well. To get to that is just not really much of anything. But overall, I think the Blood Death Knight is going to be quite good, or at least hopefully a little bit more up to par to the other tanks. I think it was already fine to be, well, not fine to begin with, but it's not definitely C tier in the current War Within Season 3, but you know, community perception and everything. I really like this talent setup. I'm excited for it and all that jazz. Link will be in the description. You could pretty much play with all the other classes as well, and all that jazz. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.